But I can tell you that if I did have pepper plants growing in this dirt, they wouldn't look near as good as these right here do. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Thursday, September 11th here in South Georgia. And on today's video, we're going to talk about soil versus dirt. Going to make two comparisons, showing you the differences with two of these plots here behind me. Talk about why compost is such an important part of making healthy soil. And then towards the end of the video, going to give you a little update on some of the cowpeas we've got growing right now. So soil versus dirt. We're going to contrast those two terms today, although I often use them interchangeably around here. You'll often hear me say this is some good dirt or this is some sorry dirt, and a lot of people out there want to correct me and say it's soil, it's not dirt. Dirt's what you knock off your shoes before you walk in the door, and sometimes I just like to call it dirt just to aggravate those folks a little bit. But anyways, today we're going to use those two terms separately. Soil, talking about really healthy living soil that you could grow some nice stuff in. Dirt that's just kind of, you know, missing a few things, not really nutrient rich, not having a lot of biology. So for the purposes of this video, we'll define soil as something that's nice and healthy, dirt as something that's fairly lifeless. So for our comparison today, we're going to call what's in this plot here, we're going to call that soil. Nice and dark, kind of crumbly, got some good organic matter in there. And then in this plot right here, we're just going to call this dirt. Real powdery, sandy, looks pretty lifeless there, as you can see. Not a whole lot of organic matter in there, just dirt. Now, as we'll discuss later in the video, some things will grow just fine in plain old sorry dirt. Other things are going to benefit from having some nice healthy soil. And having that nice healthy soil in general is going to make your overall gardening experience better, because you won't have to fertilize as often, you won't have to baby the plants as much. If you're growing in just some old regular sorry dirt, you're going to have to feed those plants a lot more. Those plants may be a little more susceptible to diseases and stuff because they really don't have a lot they're working with down there around those roots. So how do we go from dirt to soil? Well, I think the key ingredient in all of this is compost. So that's really the only difference between this plot, our soil, and that plot right there, our dirt. This plot had a lot of compost added to it earlier this year. So that's why this soil here is darker. Also seems to have some structure to it. You could ball it up in your hand and it might stay. Whereas that stuff over there, just kind of powdery sand, you couldn't create a ball with any of that. Additionally, this soil here is going to retain moisture a lot better than that powder dry dirt over there. So going from dirt to soil is not that complicated. There are a lot of people online that try to make it complicated, talk about all these things, different things you need to add and do to get healthy soil, but for me it's really not complicated. You just pile on the compost. Now, what type of compost you use is going to have a lot to do with what's available in your area. Maybe you have a really small garden plot and there's really no bulk sources of compost in your area, so you're just going to make your own. Nothing wrong with doing that. But even if we took every single piece of waste we have and used it to make compost, we still wouldn't generate enough compost to cover these 30 by 35 plots here, so I have to buy it in bulk. Now, we're pretty lucky in our area to have several different types of compost available in bulk. We can get cotton gin compost around here. I can get composted chicken manure. I can get composted wood chips. I can get mushroom compost. Lots of different things to choose from around here, but that's not going to be the case everywhere. So I've used lots of different types, but currently my favorite is this mushroom compost base blend, this bed mix that we have on this plot right here. Just really like the mushroom compost. It just seems to really encourage a lot of good life in your soil. And before somebody types this in the comments, because I know they're probably about to do it right now, you don't have to worry that much about contaminated compost. I know at some point somebody online, some YouTuber must have got some contaminated compost and it just scared the daylights out of everybody, because I hear about it all the time. Got to be careful with contamination. I've never bought any contaminated compost. I have bought some that had a little bit of pigweed seed in it one time, but never bought any contaminated compost. I don't think it happens that often, but yet a lot of people are scared about it. Wouldn't worry about it a whole lot. You can always do a little test if you want to though. Get a small amount of it, put it in a pot, try to grow something in it, see how it does. If it goes well, then get a bulk load of it. Now I have found in our climate down here with our sandy soil type, it is much better not to mix the compost into the soil. Some people like to till the compost into the soil, and I used to do that years and years ago. Stopped doing that a while back. It just sticks around longer if we layer it on top and don't mix it in the soil. So if I put down a good, say, 3 to 4 inch layer of compost on my plots, like I did with this one earlier this year, that will usually hold me over 2, 3, sometimes maybe even 4 years. So it's not something I'm having to do every single year. Our dirt plot back there hasn't had any compost added to it for a while, and that's why it has kind of reverted back to just dirt or our native sandy soil. And if you've got a really big garden spot, maybe it's not in the budget to compost it all at one time, you know, break it up into little subsections. Do part of it one year, another part next year, another part the following year, so that eventually you do get it all covered. You just don't have to eat it all at one time. So maybe you're picking up what I'm putting down, but maybe you're not convinced yet. Let me show you an example here of what this healthy soil can do for plants. So these pepper plants were planted back in the spring. Got several different varieties here. Some varieties get taller than others. Some of these here might be the prettiest pepper plants I have ever grown. Yes, they need picking. I've been slacking on my pepper picking, but that plant there is 5 foot tall, maybe 5.5 foot tall, that poblano plant there, and just absolutely loaded. Look at this sweet Delilah pepper plant here. Just beautiful green leaves. Haven't sprayed these with anything, and they're just as beautiful as they can be. We did fertilize them a little bit after we planted them in the spring, but these plants haven't been fertilized in months, yet they are still really green, and just they keep putting on fruit. They put on fruit all throughout the summer. They never really looked rough. So what usually happens around here, during the heat of summer, our pepper plants will start looking a little rough, and that's why I started more in the greenhouse. I was planning on planting more, but these here just kept on kicking, and I only got 2 jalapeno plants planted here. Well, that's been more than enough for us. These sound wave jalapenos here make some monsters, more jalapenos than we've been able to eat. I just love coming out here and seeing how healthy these plants look. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any pepper plants growing in this dirt right here at the moment, so we can't do an apples to apple comparison. But I can tell you that if I did have pepper plants growing in this dirt, they wouldn't look near as good as these right here do. And if I was going to even attempt to get them to look that good growing in that dirt plot there, I can tell you I would have to fertilize them very heavily to get them to look like that. But in this healthy soil right here, we haven't had to do anything to those peppers. They're just doing their thing. So if that's not clear as day, I don't know what is. The differences in soil appearance between this plot and the dirt plot back there, and just how good those peppers look with me not doing anything to them. So at some point later this year, early next year, I'll need to do the same thing to that dirt plot back there, put about 3 to 4 inches of the same bed mix on top of that one and get it really going. But fortunately, there are some things that don't really need healthy soil. They'll grow just fine in dirt, and that's why we have cowpeas planted in that dirt plot right now. So you can see here our 4 or 5 rows of Chack Bay cowpeas that have kind of merged together are growing just fine in this dirt. They look nice and as healthy as they could be. And our 2 double rows of zipper cream peas here, they were planted later than those Chack Bay peas. They're not quite as far along, but those look good as well. They look just as good as these Ozark Razorback cowpeas that are planted in this healthy soil right here. So those cowpeas, if they could talk, they would tell you that they really don't care. They don't really need that biologically active soil we have right here. They grow just fine in that dirt. So that's something to consider as you're planting different things in your garden, especially if you have different plots like we do. Put stuff where it needs to go. If you've got a plot that's not that healthy, just kind of dirt, Use it for growing something like cowpeas. Save your healthy soil for fruiting vegetables like peppers or tomatoes, things like that, that are going to really benefit from that healthy soil. So add compost when you can. You don't have to do it every single year, but make sure when you do it, you put a nice little 3 to 4 inch layer there on top of your soil. Don't mix it in, just leave it on top there. It will get a little bit mixed as you plant stuff, but you don't want to try to incorporate it into the soil. Just leave it on top there, and over time, I promise you, you'll see the benefits. And as I mentioned earlier, don't make this more complicated than it has to be. Don't think you've got to have this secret recipe with all these different ingredients. Just find some good compost in bulk and put it on top of your garden. So I hope you enjoyed that comparison there. Let me know in the comments below what type of compost you like to use in your garden, and also let me know what other things you have found that grow just fine in dirt. They don't really need that healthy soil to thrive. And as always, you can find seeds for a lot of the varieties we grow around here on our website at lazydogfarm.com. And if you want to know more about planting and growing cowpeas, watch this video right here that we did a few weeks back when we planted all those we've got here. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.